All right, here we come, learning a little bit about vertex form, the goal being that you can use completing the square to change this into looking something like that. That's the goal. So the goal to get this equation, and then by completing the square to get it to look like that, which we did in Unit 2. So the quick version of how to go about this is first, I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to complete the square. And that's from last unit 4.4. I'm going to take this 5, move it to the other side. So I have a y plus 5 equals, oops, and then I'm going to leave my blank, equals x squared plus 6x blank. Now, if you remember from last unit, from 4.4, what goes in the blank is my goal is to get something squared. So in order to get something squared, I got to find numbers that will add up to be 6, which are 3 and 3. And therefore, 3 times 3 tells me that I need to add 9 to both sides. So I'm going to add 9 like that, and over on this side, I get a y plus 14. Okay? Now, if you look up here, the idea is I need to get y by itself. Then I've got some number out front. I've got x minus my how far left and right, and then I got how far up and down it went. So my last step here is simply just to move the 14 over. So I get y equals, parenthesis x plus 3 squared minus 14. Where, make sure you're following all directions, it does ask you to make sure you find the vertex. So I need to tell it, Mr. Palmer, the vertex is at -3, -14. So there are my final two answers. Completing the square. All right, so let's do this one. Same thing, except now we've got a little bit of an issue, and that issue is this guy right here. This is a not being equal to 1, which I told you back in 4.4 that you don't want to complete the square without that being 1, and here's the reason why. It gets a little messy. So I'm going to follow the same type of thing. I'm going to move my 3 over like so. So it's y plus 3 blank equals -2x squared plus 8x blank. Same thing. The only difference now is I have to deal with this -2 because that can't be there. So what I'm going to do is if I don't like this -2, I'm going to divide by -2 to get rid of it. And that is legal to do as long as I divide everything by -2. So now it's y over -2 plus, actually, you know what? I'm going to put that minus. I'm going to put that minus right up there. So it's minus 3 over 2 blank equals, now these two cross out. That was the whole goal, x squared minus 4x blank. And now I'm going to follow the same kind of thing that I did over here to find this 9 and to find this x plus 3. So I need to find numbers that will give me 4 so that I can complete the square, which is -2, because -2 and -2 gives me -4. And therefore, what goes here is going to be a plus 4, because that's what 2 times 2 is. So this whole right side gets transformed into this. Don't have to do anything weird. And now I do have to do a little fractional addition here. So I'm going to put this 4 over 1. So therefore, they have to have common denominators. So I need to make this 4. So that means I have to take this times 4, which is 16. So I end up with y over -2. And then -3, get my laser, -3 plus this 16 should give you 13 over 3. Or excuse me, 13. Why did I think that had to be 4? Let me back up. I'm so sorry. That doesn't need to be 4. It needs to be 2. So I can make my life a little bit easier. I just need to put this over 2. So now this is 8. My apologies. I'll let you erase. I'll give you a second. I screwed that up. All right. Then I'm going to go that -3 plus 8, which is plus 5 over 2. So this whole thing right there was just adding fractions, and I got to there. Now I'm going to follow my last two steps, which is I'm going to move the 5 over 2 to the other side. So it's y over -2 equals x minus 2 squared minus 5 over 2. And lastly, I have to take care of this -2 down below. And since it's being divided right here, this is a division sign, I'm going to take everything times -2, times -2, times -2, so that these will cross. Over here I get y equals. There's now a -2 out front. And then this -2 right here. And this is kind of like a negative 2, but this and this will cross out the 2's, and then the negatives will also make it a plus. So it ends up being plus 5. So the vertex here, which it is asking me to find, would be at 2, 5. This one, I will agree with you, is tough. This whole fractional thing, that's why I told you not to do this when a was bigger than 1, because when that happens, you're going to get all these division things down here. But one thing to note, and I'll try to tell you about this tomorrow as well, is take a look right here. See how a was negative 2 right here? That should follow right here as well. That a and then that number in front of the parentheses should be the same. Okay, so last step, last thing for today is let's take a look. We need to write a quadratic equation, vertex form for each parabola described. Meaning, here's my parabola. It starts at 1, 2, 3. You do not have to write this down. I'm just showing you. Starts at 3, 2, and it tells you another one of the points is negative 1, negative 2, like this. So somehow, some way, there is a u. It looks like it's going to have to kind of spiral down this way somehow. So what is the equation of that thing? Well, good news is I'm going to refer back to my vertex form. I'm going to go back here. Y equals a parenthesis x minus h squared plus k. I have the h and the k right there. I have h and I have k. So technically I know it's y equals a x minus 3 squared plus 2. So if you look right here in green, if you look here, what's the only thing that I don't know? And the only thing that I don't know is I don't know this letter A right here. So I'm going to go find out how much was this stretched or shrunk or flipped or whatever happened to it. So in order to do that, I'm going to refer you back to Unit 3. Do you remember anything from Unit 3? You just took the check for understanding over this, but this value right here, this A, is something we're going to find just like we did there. So when I have a value in math that I don't know, I need to know everything else, meaning I need to know a value for this and a value for this. And luckily, it gives me that above here. It tells me that a point is negative 1, negative 2. So I'm going to take that and plug that in for x and y. So I'm going to go negative 2 equals A, I still don't know. And now I've got an x as well, which is negative 1 minus 3 squared plus 2. And then I'm going to solve for a. So negative 2 equals a. That turns into negative 4 squared plus 2. Negative 2 equals 16a plus 2. I'm going to minus 2 to both sides. Minus 2. Negative 4 equals 16a. And then I divide by 16. Divide by 16. A here looks to be negative 1/4. So my equation, to go all the way back up to the red, to go all the way back up there, is y equals negative 1/4 x minus 3 squared plus 2. Whew. So the quick summation of all of that is it's finding this A again, which we did back in Unit 3. And in order to find that A, you have to know everything else, meaning I need to know if I'm looking for this A right here, highlighted in yellow, if I'm looking for that, then I need to know every single other thing. I need to know all those pinks, and they all come from up here, okay? So let's do one more. Same thing, I'm gonna go start here, y equals a parenthesis x minus h squared plus k. I'm going to plug in everything I know, which this is h, this is k, this is x, this is y, and that'll help me find my one missing part, which is that letter A. So I'm going to go 13 equals A times x, which is negative 4, minus negative 1 squared minus 2. So again, that's just putting in all of these h and k's up here into this right here. And now I'm going to solve for A by adding those. 13 equals, that inside of there is going to be a negative 3 squared minus 2. I'm going to square that and add 2 at the same time, so I get 15 equals 9a. Divide by 9, divide by 9. And 15 over 9 reduces to 5 over 3. So that's my beginning value. So my overall equation in vertex form is y equals 5/3 x plus 1 squared minus 2. All right. Well, do the best you can with trying to figure some of this out. Here's the quick recap of the top again. Top, you need to do a completing the square. It's not too bad when there is no a. When this a right here is 1, when that's 1, it's not too bad. It ends up just being you add some numbers and then subtract to get the y by itself. This one, I will give you, this one is a little bit messier because of the fractions. So I highlighted it in green, but don't forget that you need to divide by this value to get rid of it. I can leave this up here a little bit so you can see for a second. And if I wouldn't have made my math error, that would be easier. And then down here, it's more the same of finding this a, which you just took another check for understanding over that in Unit 3, and we just had a spiral over it as well. So in order to find this missing value, to find these a's, you need to know everything else. So right there is where I have it kind of all laid out, where you know your x and your y, you know your h and your k, they're given to you, so you got to find that a. And that's what I did here as well. Do the best you can. We can look at this a little bit before the quiz on Tuesday, and I will see you all back then. Feel free to go back and watch as needed.